It's Daybreak on Rise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. Let's begin with this day. It's leading with Nigeria Economic Summit Group sets priorities for Atiku, Tinubu, Obi and Kwankwaso plus others. And Soludo says, I won't succumb to bullies. Obi knows he cannot win the elections. And 40 years of cross-border banking, that's an image there. Akwa Ibom court sacks Udofia Akpabio as APC's Guber and senatorial candidates.
Let's take a look at the Punch, the headlines this morning. Soludo attacks Obi again, says ex-governor cannot win. And also in the Punch newspaper, resists government control as MPAN advises media practitioners. Tinubu's victory certain, says Lalong as campaign begins. And INEC office attacks worry UK-US opposes rigging. And military places 95 million naira bounty on 19 bandit kingpins.
Let's take a look at the Nation newspaper now. And it says Abdul Salami panel, rising violence threatens polls. Of course, is urging citizens to trust the INEC and the security agencies. There's more. Poverty double unders Obi, that's according to the governor in a number of states. Of course, this is written the first part of what could be a series of letters. We wait to see how it all pans out. Fake news, NBC finds Arise News 2 million naira. And Buhari and others in just for Tinubu Shetima campaign kickoff.
Let's take a look at the headlines in the Leadership newspaper. INEC audit reports indict APC, PDP orders for overspending. And El Rufai Baseki Inua audits demand subsidy removal restructuring. And terrorism court adjourns Kanu's trial indefinitely.
Let's take a look at the international papers, starting with the Financial Times. And Taiwan tensions overshadow Biden and Xi's push to improve relations. And Hunt targets electricity generators with windfall tax on excess returns. And those talks between President Joe Biden and China's Xi Jinping held yesterday, just before the G20 summit, which is now opened on Bali. We heard from President Joko Widodo speaking earlier, calling for peace in Ukraine.
And in the I paper, Murdoch tells Trump, your White House dream is over. And Starmer raised UK taxes for Amazon and non-doms, not lower earners.
The Independent, Joe Biden and Xi Jinping meet. Biden says, I think we understand each other. Pensioners set to escape raid on public speaking.
And now let's bring in Emmanuel Bello for the press preview analysis. Thanks for joining us as always. Let's begin with one of the headlines in our sister publication this day, and that's the seemingly brewing feud between Peter Obi and Charles Soludo. Let's contemplate this for a moment. What exactly is going on here?
Well, I think it's a continuation of, the first instance when Soludo made those comments that the investments made by Obi doesn't add up if you do the math. And we were discussing in Benny, remember last week when we were saying that Soludo must be taken seriously because he's also a student of economics, a student of financial dealings and investments and whatnot when it comes to this issue. So if Obi wants to talk about figures and investments and like Obi loves to do each time he's talking, talking really hardcore economics, that Soludo is probably someone that we should listen to when he tells us that those things don't add up. And in this latest takedown, it was a serious takedown. What he wrote, the opinion page he penned, it was I don't think in recent memory I've read anything so daunting and so so slamming of another person. And even then he says he's actually being restrictive in some of the things he's saying, but he went a great deal to try to fight back. He says since he said made those earlier comments, he's been under a lot of attack from the Obi mob, as he calls them. And he said that let him give them more to talk about. Benny talk about giving people more things to talk about. And so he raised these issues and so many things. And yesterday, I think it's about the only thing that a whole lot of people were reading. And what he tries to say there, in a nutshell, that's if you can even summarize everything he said there, is that, look, Obi does not have what it takes to win, and that elections are about negotiation. Winning elections are about the negotiations that are beyond the tantrums that you find on Facebook or social media and all that. And he accused Obi of wasting the Igbo chance and saying that, look, if Obi had actually teamed up maybe with the APGA candidate, maybe there will be somewhere to go to. So it's I'm sure the jury is out there, and I'm sure Obi is going to get back at already. Obi crowd saying all sorts of things to Soludo. Some people say it's belly aching, it's envy, it's jealousy. But he's saying that, look, he has nothing to envy here, and that he also delved into a little bit of history of his relationship with Obi. That, look, at one time he was actually also very interested in Obi running for the presidency. And then Benny, I don't know if you noted that he was trying to actually question Obi's record, especially in Anambra when he was governor. So he did a lot of that. And look, it's a mouthful, and I think a lot of people want to go and read it and get. Yesterday, everybody was taking a bit of what he. And at the end of the day, he said, look, he is so sure, almost very prophetic, that Obi isn't going to win this election.
It's good he's taking that position. He's now playing God in his own position, determining a man's fate. And we're expecting the part 2, because he says there will be more to come. Let more come out so that the people can criticize.
I wonder what else
and
he's going
see
to say.
if indeed he is worthy of being the president of the country. But I would think that the governor should let the people decide. Of course, his series of letters can keep coming.
Yes, I think so. But again, when you're running for that kind of high office, you should expect that some people are going to put you under, under the microscope and really fact check everything you're saying. And no other person to do it than someone who is a successor. He's looking at his records. He's even talking about some of the roads that Obi couldn't do very well. So, and a lot of people have actually accused Obi of more words and little action. A lot of people saying that because they don't have all the time in the world to fact check what he's saying. Soludo is trying to put a lie on some of the things and say that, look, it doesn't add more. But you see, there's a total picture he's looking at. He's looking at the place of Indigo in that thing. And a lot of us have actually wondered why Obi doesn't seem to have the support of the Igbo leadership. I mean, it's not as stated as you find in the other candidates coming. And this is one of those examples where you have somebody who is actually a governor of his state saying those kind of things. Well, it's bound to hurt, whether you like it or not. But then, again, probably, like you are saying, it's also bound to actually backfire with people saying the sort of thing that you are saying, that, look, it's not up to to Soludo to say these things, up to the people. But the people too are actually going to be now curious to hear the other side of some of those claims. And what Soludo is saying, that some of those claims don't really add up, and that he has got the fact. In fact, in this letter, he's saying that there are things he doesn't want to say. Probably he's going to say them in part 2, but he's hinting at even darker things, than we all imagine. So, and he's saying that people must go beyond emotions, people must go beyond those tantrums and look at real facts on ground, the possibility, the numbers. He said the math are not, it's not adding up. So he doesn't want a situation where, and he said it in those words, he said, look, Obi is actually frittering away the chances of Indigo and the Igbo nation, and that this is not going to work, and that it's not the Igbo moment.
It's a given. Emmanuel Bello, I mean, Soludo is coming out with facts, figures, like he rightly said, but so much of had hominem. It's playing out here. Like, again, there's still an attack on the person of Obi. One would have thought that, a fellow Kingsman would support a fellow Kingsman's bid of becoming president, but that's not what we see playing out here.
He does have a candidate in his own party, APGA.
Yes, so, and he's saying that, to your point, Kenneth, he's saying that is what should have been the Igbo agenda in this. But again, Obi has always said,
that is not what is.
Obi has always said that he's not the Igbo candidate. He does not identify, Obi hasn't ever actually identified himself as the Igbo candidate, but more like maybe any other person would say, well, he's the Ariwa candidate or the Afenifere candidate or whatever. Obi has always said that, look, I'm this pan-Nigerian appeal thing, kind of a thing that I want to be. That's what Obi has always presented himself to be. So probably Benny, he doesn't really need much of those kind of support. But then every politics local, like we say, and it must start at home. So you need to have that home-based support to be able to launch out. So,
do you think, I mean, fact checkers unfortunately were not there at the first series of the Arise Town Hall presidential meeting, but they were there for the second one. Do you think there were too much bogus figures presidential candidate Obi was throwing around during most of his delivery at that town hall meeting?
Well, I mean, he's being accused of that.
Given what Soludo is coming out to say now.
You know, Shetima always say that in the past. I mean, a lot of people try to say this and say, look, it's about figures. But even in this day story, the lead story today in this day, that, the economic summit is saying that, look, the next president will be someone that is abreast with the troubles or the problems of this country and must have very clear-cut ideas on how to solve them. And it comes down to those things. It comes down to figures. It comes down to the stats, to the statistics. You need to have that. And in the past, one of the problems we've had is that we have people who just become leaders without knowing the problems. They don't have solutions. And the only way you can have solution if you understand the problem. Obi tries to say, look, I understand the problem and I know how to deal with it. It talks about the problem. If those statistics are bogus, it's for other people to fact check. But you cannot have anybody who is going to deal with the Nigerian problem without having figures, without having the statistic in mind. And the kind of solutions we're looking for must be based on clear-cut, scientific, proven data where you can work with, or else you will just be, for instance, in the economic summit, people are saying that, look, you have to know about job creation. You have to know how many people are out of job right now. You have to know how many jobs you're supposed to create. We need to have data on our hands. We need to have statistics. So while you can blame Obi of throwing around statistics, you cannot take it away again that the kind of problems we have in this country will require somebody that understands the problem down to the data of those problems to provide the kind of solutions that we need. How many jobs do we need? How many houses do we need? How do we cater for transportation? How do we deal with the problem of the Naira devaluation? You must not be a professor of economics to be able to do that. Another thing is to be able to actually assemble the right team to be able to do that, people that can think for you. But the economic summit, people are saying that, look, the next president will be somebody who is abreast first, know the problem. I think all of us fairly, Benny, you and I, Kenneth, we all know the problem of the country, but you have to also understand it in a very scientific way, not just in an emotional way, and also think of the solution, 21st century tested solutions that can solve some of these problems.
Emmanuel, someone who claims to have those solutions is the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, the governing party. But he has also been bogged down by allegations from the US and that court forfeiture that happened in the 90s. Well, they're kicking off their official campaign in Jos Plateau State today. What should we expect? And this whole issue with that forfeiture is not going away anytime, is it?
Well, yes, as yesterday, it was still in the front page of most newspapers because PDP is still holding on, struggling to it. So I think yesterday on the socials, there were more revelations that some of the things that the APC is claiming around that story is not true. Our network has already paid a fine over this story. So it's something that is not going to go away. It's coming with there are new dimensions to it, and sadly, like you say, Kenneth, it's part of the problem that the APC candidate is bugged with, and as they launch out today in Jos, people are still going to be asking those questions. They're still going to try to ask questions about his background, his personality, and people will be watching him to see what he's going to say on stage, how he's going to say it. I think he's one of the most closely watched candidates because there's been issues around his frailty, his age, his health, and the way he say the things he's saying them. So people will be keenly watching, listening to see how he said it and everything. But of course, Lalong, the governor of Plateau State, is so optimistic that they're going to have a good outing today, that the crowd will come, and whether they're going to be hired or they are the original crowd, fans of Tinubu in Jos. Or in Plateau State. But of course, it's a kickoff, and you expect people coming from all over the country to fill up the stadium. But people will be watching closely to hear what Tinubu is going to be saying about some of these clear-cut problems that this Nigeria summit people are saying that, look, economic summit are saying the next president must be someone that understands the problem and has got solutions.
In just 60 seconds, we can. In the leadership newspaper this morning, Father Cooker and also former President Abdulsalami Abubakar raising concerns over campaign violence, even as INEC audits indicts the APC and PDP for overspending. Quickly, in 60 seconds. Let's
Yeah,
talk about this.
if you look at, because you are not supposed to actually pass the 1 billion naira mark, but from what leadership is reporting, exclusive story leadership, kudos to leadership, is saying that look, they've expended more than that because they've submitted their audit report and you can see deficits. They earned less than a billion from the sales of forms and all of that, but they've expended billions already in campaign, financing and all of that. So, and that's bound to be a problem, and it's at the heart of some of the crises that we're talking about. This party is spending so much money to be able to get power, and because of that, it becomes a do or die affair, and that also results into the kind of violent clashes that you're having. Yesterday, footages of Atiku and Tinubu sitting down and talking together really help in dousing some of that, but we're going to see how that holds, especially with the fact that they've signed some peace accords among themselves. We'll see how their supporters mainly hold on to that in future campaigns outings.
Thank you for your insight, Emmanuel Bello. That's the press preview. Let's hear your views on all the burning issues. Follow us on Twitter at Arise TV. You can join today's conversation using the hashtag AriseDaybreak.